Hey guys, I want to share a story with y'all tonight. I normally don't tell these about the family stuff, but a friend of the family had some really weird things happen to him a long time ago, and he doesn't live in the house no more, and I don't blame him. But I want to share it with you tonight. I was up and just got through doing some early work and everything. Uh, at the end of the video, I'll give you some information about what's going on if you want to hang out and hear that. But I'll get right to it. Just a kind of a short story about my uncle. He was driving a semi and got a good price on a house, and he bought it. It was out in the country in the middle of nowhere. It was an old two-story fixer-upper, really nice looking house. I like the old houses. Maybe not nice to some people, but I liked it. And he was telling us, one night he said he went to the bathroom, and whenever he had went to the bathroom, he had a pit bull that lived with him. And he said, I went to the bathroom, and whenever he was in the bathroom, he said he thought he heard somebody talking, and he thought, man, there can't be nobody out here because this place is so secluded. So he got down in the bathroom, he said, and he went into the front room and looked around. He had made a glass of tea, and his tea wasn't sitting beside his recliner, it was sitting over by the couch. And he said he got to thinking, well, maybe I left it over by the couch and didn't leave it by the recliner like I had thought I had. And, cleaning the house and everything and moving around and moving into it and everything. He, was tired, so he said I might have just placed it over there and misplaced it. So he's sitting in there and he's watching TV. And behind him, he's got a hallway. It goes back down to the bedrooms. And he said he left the light on in the hallway and just had the TV on in the front room, kind of in and out of sleep. He said dozing, kind of watching TV. He always turned westerns on at night when he'd go to sleep. He said all of a sudden he hears something that startles him, and he kind of wakes up and he notices that the hall light's out. And he thought, I know the hall light was on when I went to bed. So he gets up, goes in and checks the hall light. The switch is actually off. The light bulb hadn't burned out. So he said he felt a little uneasy about that. So he decided to go to bed. His bedroom was upstairs. And whenever you go up these old stairs, you go straight up. There was no bend or nothing. And it was a door. And through the door was his bedroom. So he goes up, goes to bed, shuts the door. He said he locked the door, and he laid down, and he felt like the whole night, he said, something was watching him. He said that room just felt really weird, and he could hear, he said it sounded like an old man talking to another old man, mumbling, having a conversation. Well, the next day, he went outside, and he was working and everything, doing the garden. He loved to do a garden. He was doing a really big garden. And he just had this feeling that something was watching him. And again, he lives out in the middle of nowhere, and there's fields all around him, and there's a big old red barn out in the back that he had, came with the property. Now the barn was usable, but it was old and kind of dark inside and falling apart, and he just had this really weird feeling. Anyways, he says he's doing the work and everything, and he looks up at his bedroom window, the second story window on the house where he had slept, and he thought he saw something move. He said, oh no, there's nothing in the house with reflection in the window, the clouds and stuff. So he's trying to blow it off. So he continues working through the day, and he goes inside, sits down, turns the TV on for the night, eats his dinner, got his glass of tea, and this is where it starts getting a little weirder. He drinks his tea, and he decides he got to go to the restroom again. So he takes the tea glass with the ice, and he's like, I need more ice. So he gets more ice in it. And he says, I just went ahead and filled it with tea. And he left it in the kitchen, went to the bathroom. And on the way back, he would grab his cup, go back to the front room. So he goes to the bathroom, uses the restroom, comes out, goes through the kitchen. Tea's gone. He thought, what in the world? Where's my tea? So he said he starts looking for his tea, and he's thinking, I'm losing it. He said, finally, I just give up, and I'm like, whatever. I'm going to go watch my show. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm tired. He'd been working outside all day. It was summertime. So he goes to the front room, and he sits down. Lo and behold, beside him, there's his glass of tea with the ice in it sitting right beside his chair. So at this time, he's starting to get pretty freaked out. So he calls his friend, and his friend says he'd come over and stay the night with him. So his friend ends up showing up. They're both single. And they're laying there. Well, the dog starts barking up the stairway, having a fit. He said the dog would not go up those steps. So they got ready for bed, and he told his buddy, he said, hey, we can both go up in that room, lock the door. I'll sleep on the floor. You can have the bed, take the dog. Well, the dog would not go up those steps. He said they tried to pick the dog up and carry the dog up the steps, and they could not get the dog up the steps. Dog wouldn't have it. So they ended up sleeping downstairs. Nothing happened the rest of that night. The next day, his friend left and went to work, and my uncle was working out in the garden again. I'm sorry about the background. It's my son. He's playing a game in the other room. He just gets loud. Uh, but anyway, he said he goes out and he works like he normally done through the day. And when he goes inside, he notices that his bedroom door is opened, and he knew it was shut. So he says at this time, he has decided that he's going to probably sell the house. He said it's getting too freaky. Well, that night, he goes to bed, and he said the dog wouldn't come up the steps, so he decided he was going to leave the bedroom door open in case the dog wanted to come up the steps. So he goes to bed. He said the dog stays at the bottom of the steps, and his bed's got the big tall wooden posts, the 4 posts on each end. And he said he's sleeping, and next thing he knows, anyways, he says, the 4 posts start shaking. The bed starts shaking. And he's like, what is going on? He goes to try to get up, and he said it feels like the blankets are like being pulled underneath the bed down on him. And he is able to get them off, and he said he sits up, and then everything stops. And he said, I thought maybe it was an earthquake. He was really scared. He's home alone. It's dark. The bed was shaking. So he says, I decided to call my dog. So I started calling my dog, yelling for my dog. The dog runs up the steps, gets to the doorway, and just stops and starts like raising up like it's begging for a treat. And he thought, I don't have no treats for you. Come on, come on, come on. And the dog keeps doing it. Then all of a sudden he notices the dog's mouth is moving, but he's not hearing the dog. Something like a barrier was blocking the dog from going into the bedroom. He got up, ran to the dog, and was able to go through the door no problem. And he said he could hear the dog and everything. He loaded the dog in his truck that night, and he left. He placed the property up for sale, and while the property was up for sale, the property ended up burning down. And now the property is just a hayfield. They didn't rebuild on it. The people that bought it, they just turned it all into hayfield. But that was one of the weirdest stories, and it was scary to me. I remember that my whole, childhood almost. Childhood, like when I was 16, 17, he told us, but pretty scary. Hey, don't forget, guys, coming up, the Girl Scout murder witness is going to give the details that haven't been heard in 50 years. It's going to be happening soon. Subscribers are going to get, or the members to the channel, the members will get to see the video a day early. We're doing a live show that night, which will be the 31st of this month. We're going to start it at 10:30. At midnight, we will give access to all the members, and then the full video will drop for everybody at 5 o'clock p.m. I appreciate each and every one of you watching. Until next time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner, and we'll see you on the live.